I am delighted to have Dr. Garg as our speaker today. He is one of the busiest people I know with a full-time medical practice. He's a physician, he's married, he has 2 children, and he's Chicago's vegan expert who gives a lot of talks.
Thank
so,
you.
Dr. Ashwani Garg.
Thank you. So, I'm so happy to be back doing presentations after a long hiatus, a few years. So let me just get this presentation started. So where I work now, is Advent Health. And Advent Health is kind of a newly rebranded company. It's the result of a separation for Ascension and Advent Health. It used to be called Amita Health. And I'm so proud to be working for them because they're, really very few companies support plant-based diets and lifestyle medicine. Seventh-day Adventists are the ones who run it, and they founded a lot of the health movement, going back 100 years ago. So I work in Hinsdale. Hinsdale Hospital is over 100 years old itself, and it used to be called Hinsdale SAN. SAN stands for Sanitarium, which was a place you went to get healthy because technology wasn't that advanced at the time. So, and I am certified lifestyle medicine, family medicine, and graduate of the plant-based nutrition program. So just to let you know where our company, the company Advent Health, origin is, that their mission is simply extending the healing ministry of Christ. And maybe, you may have heard that he healed people first and then extended the gospel to them, the good word. So what their aim is to help us, employees, whether we are Christian or not, to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ in helping people feel whole. So what they use is the word holistic with the W instead of the H. And the reason they use the W is because it's more about wholeness. And what we like to do is give hope to everyone that strives to heal and restore the body, mind, and spirit. So this aligns perfectly with plant-based and lifestyle medicine. And they do good work. They have a mission clinic coming up at the end of September in LaGrange as well, giving free care to the community. So we'll just talk about nutrition basics, briefly about phytonutrients and antioxidants, nutrition for diseases, putting it all together, and I'm going to give you a comparison of keto and plant-based and tell you the difference, because keto is a big buzzword these days. So this way you can talk to people who are doing keto and tell them why, maybe they want to try plant-based. You have to be gentle with people. And then just practical tips and examples. So to look at the leading causes of death, if you look at it, we worry a lot about these things: war, crime, mental health, accidents, those kind of things. But the real big item is heart and circulatory disorders, cancer, respiratory disorders, mainly from smoking and pollution. So the things that we can do something about are also the biggest items causing death. And so we should focus on healthy lifestyle first. So as far as what we learn in medical school and what most people talk about is reductionism. We talk about protein, nutrients, vitamins, and that leads to confusion and a bunch of supplements and poor health outcomes. The problem is that Americans are eating 63% of their meals as processed food. Oily, sugary, refined. And if you've heard about people getting healthy with paleo, they will no doubt be healthier. Why? Because they've eliminated the processed food. And so grain-free, yes, they will be healthier because they've eliminated the processed food. Likely they're going to replace it with more plant food. And then 25% of American diet is animal food, which are meat, dairy, eggs, fish, and seafood. And it should really be flipped. If you think about Mediterranean diet, it is flipped, and that's what makes that healthy. So this is what we find at the store. We find a bunch of cereals all the way down the aisle. Even the baby food is highly processed. And then bottom left, those are the gastrointestinal supplements, Tums, Prilosec, a bunch of fiber, right? And then we have the column of vitamins. Why are the vitamins? Because people are depleted, and I'll show you how they are. So people think this will make them healthy. None of it really will make them healthy. They don't see the solution, which is all around the edges of the grocery store in the produce section. So if you look at the food intake over time, yes, true, people have kind of moderated red meat. So that top red line is beef intake. Yes, it has reduced, but look at the chicken intake. It has risen astronomically. There is no such thing as Chick-fil-A and KFC way back in the day. It's all new. And then sugar intake, it really has not reduced. It's just stayed the same, almost the same, slightly reduced. And then if you look at this line here, this is the USDA guideline for intake. And of course, people are getting their protein, meat, dairy, eggs, nuts, seafood. They're generally getting their grains, yes, but they're not eating vegetables and fruits. They're way under the target mark. And dairy, that's a historical addition to USDA that doesn't take into account ethnic differences and intolerances. It's kind of set up for a European-centric world. So cheese is by far the largest share of dairy. It's also the most unhealthiest share of dairy. Potatoes and tomatoes are the most commonly consumed vegetables. Why? It's French fries and ketchup. That's why. And then, so when we look at nutrition in terms of holism, we look at nutrients interacting with other nutrients and not their individual parts in isolation. So the problem these days, how many people have heard of someone saying, I'm trying to be healthy, I won't eat any fruits because they have too much sugar? Yeah, you've heard that, right? So that leads to the wrong conclusions. It's not true because you can eat fruits and the glucose won't go up as much as if you drink the juice or have soda. And brown rice is not a carb. Carb, I think of refined. Hello, thanks for coming. And then avocado, some people eliminate that. That's a healthy fat anyway, so that leads to confusion. So these foods don't have labels. That's where the health is, not the nutrient aisle. There's fiber there. These foods are good for the digestive system, and they have all the nutrients, but they don't have any labels showing that. So it's like in a symphony. All the food interacts with each other and, works together very well. So when you combine nutrients, like for example, you have an apple, there's very little vitamin C in that apple, but there's so many other nutrients that are antioxidant and good for the immune system. So Dr. T. Colin Campbell has that plant-based certificate, and he recommends eating whole food plant-based diet, minimizing refined foods, added salts, and added fats. So not quite the same as veganism, but if you cross it and intersect it with veganism, you've got the healthiest diet. And many factors affect how many nutrients end up in it. That's why it's so important today to eat more of fruits and vegetables. So this is a great chart to keep in mind. This is from the China study. And you can find it online if you Google China study nutrient chart. So on the left, we have a mixture of spinach, tomatoes, lima beans, peas, and potatoes. Nothing fancy, no real superfoods. And so this is only 500 calories worth of plant-based food. So you can see protein is almost equal to the animal-based food, which is ground beef, pork, chicken, milk, and you can see fat is way more, 9 times more in the animal-based food. And all the fiber is in the plant-based food. Dietary fiber, 31 grams. 31 grams is more than the USDA's recommendation. USDA recommends 20 grams per day. We recommend lifestyle medicine 40 grams or above per day. Many people eating whole food plant-based are getting 70 or more grams per day, just to give you an idea. The average American hardly gets 10 grams per day of fiber. And if you really ask someone what they're eating, and you just look at it in terms of fiber, you'll see most Americans are way below. Um, and then calcium. How many people do you know take calcium supplements? It's all in the plant-based foods. Beta carotene is off the charts. I see the egg industry advertising eggs as if they're a superfood, that they have beta carotene. It has very minuscule amount. You're getting tons more beta carotene in the plant-based foods. Vitamin E, many people worry about that. If you take vitamin E, it increases the risk of cancer in a capsule. But vitamin E has many different tocopherols, many different forms that act much better if you take it from plants. Folic acid, you probably heard to take that in pregnancy. Folic acid is in its natural form folate in the plant-based foods. The reason they recommend that supplement is because most women aren't eating even 500 calories worth of plant-based food. And then magnesium, you may have heard for headaches and general health and muscle ache. It is more than adequate in the plant-based foods. Only 1/4 of what you should eat has enough magnesium. And then B12 is the main thing, but it's from soil bacteria. Most of the people that I treat for B12 deficiency are not vegetarian or vegan. But yes, it's true, vegetarian and vegans need to worry more. So the good thing is fortified foods have B12, nutritional yeast, and plant-based milks have B12. So this is from DC. That's the giant panda in the DC Zoo. And no one asked, how is the panda getting protein? No one asks. He just eats the bamboo all day. So protein requirements, to give you an idea, minimum is 1/3 of your weight in pounds, minimum. So did you have a question? Oh, okay. And even a low protein diet of 10% of your calories from protein will give enough if someone eats enough calories. The key is if someone's on a very low calorie diet, like for bariatric surgery or weight loss, then yes, they have to increase the proportion to 20 to 30%. But generally, someone can get enough. And if someone's an athlete, let's say they're consuming 3,000 to 5,000 calories a day. Guess what? They're getting double the protein as well. So bottom line, animal protein is protein, yes. It's for survival, yes. But it is a dirty fuel. All kinds of diseases that it leads to. And it promotes cancer, cell division, and growth, which is not a good thing. Plant proteins are the ideal foods for the body. They have many nutrients, many of which we don't characterize in the USDA database. Anti-inflammatory, increasing energy, optimize athletic performance. You can watch the movie called The Game Changers, and you can see how many athletes have improved their performance. Who is the top male tennis player? Anyone know who that is? So generally, he's plant-based. He's not vegan 100%, but he eats almost all plant-based. And then has been shown to prevent and reverse heart disease. So phytochemicals, there are so many. But the way we can see, we are gifted humans with color vision, most of us. And if we consume varied colors, then we will consume the phytonutrients. There's no reference for phytochemicals, unfortunately. But only 1/5 meet the minimum intake of phytochemicals that we know. And new research shows they're essential to life. This is why you can't just drink 3 or 4 Ensures a day and survive. You'll be sick eventually. So just to give some examples, flavonoids are the pigmented foods, and they have all of these health effects. Carotenoids you may have heard about. All of these luteins, lycopenes, zeaxanthin, you may have heard they're good for the eyes, reduce fatigue, and modulate obesity. Who has heard of the new drugs for obesity? Anyone? Yes. Now there are people coming back and saying they cause permanent paralysis of the stomach and many other problems, mood disorders. And also, if you're eating less of everything, then you're not getting nutrients like we talked about. You really have to consume enough calories to get nutrients. And then you have the non-starchy polysaccharides, all kinds of good effects there. Lignans. Flax is one of the most powerful hormone regulators as well. And then the cruciferous vegetables, very high in anti-cancer activity. And then soy foods. Who has heard that soy is bad for you? Anyone? Yeah. So in fact, it's quite the opposite. Who said that soy is bad for you? The dairy industry spread it, right? The dairy industry spread those lies because soy was coming up and up in the 1970s and 80s as a alternate milk. Then the dairy industry kind of slapped them down and just spread this through blogs and magazines. But if you look at the scientific articles, PubMed.gov, you only will see health benefits of soy. All the health harms would be, for example, in a rat that's fed 1,000 times what they should consume. Of course, there's a harm to that. And also extracts of soy that has the pure isoflavones. That's not any way to consume soy. But when humans are researched, it supports benefit. And they've seen when human beings move from China to Hawaii, then from Hawaii to California, they increase the risk of breast cancer. That's one of the reasons. There's other reasons as well. And omega-3 fatty acids. Yes, they're important. And if someone has specific medical needs, you can get purely vegan algae-based DHA. But if you consume the general seeds and nuts, you will get all the omega-3 that you need. And the key is also not to consume a lot of oils, because if you consume too much oil, it blocks the conversion to DHA in the brain. So cancer is the second leading cause of death. We have cancer cells every day. The cells are growing and dividing and dying as well. Plant-based diet shifts the balance. Now just know that a whole food plant-based diet has not been shown to reduce cancer to 0 or even 20%. The best that we can estimate is it reduces cancer to by 30 to 50%. We don't know exactly. And that's why I have a guideline up here about cancer screenings for men and women. So you can grab that if you like. And the causes, tobacco and diet are the top causes of cancer. Interestingly, genetics, people think it is, but it's way over here. 5% of all cancers are due to genetic reasons. So it really is lifestyle. And sure, there's no guarantee, but we can do what we can, which is not smoking, avoiding alcohol, and eating healthy diet, and then movement as well. So these are just some examples. You can read the whole database at eattobeat.org, Dr. William Lee. And so what this database has is a description, just like pharmaceutical chart, has a description of what compounds are in the anti-cancer foods. So this is the whole list. Someone can click on each one of these and see these are the ones that have been researched. They were researched like chemotherapy, dripped onto cancer cells, and to see which foods inhibit cancer. So as you can see, very colorful foods, fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts and beans, grains and seeds and flowers, especially the colorful grains. Who has had black rice? Anyone had that? So yeah, it's amazing. And if you mix a little bit with white rice, it turns purple. And then we have the herbs and spices, all of the ethnic foods that you love, Mediterranean or Asian food, Indian food, all of those things. So just know, this is not something alternate. This is not alternative medicine. This is mainstream medicine that is endorsed by American College of Endocrinology, American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists, and American Diabetic Association. It says very clearly right there, plant-based diet. So why any doctor would not recommend it, I don't know, because the organizations are way ahead. Maybe they're 30 years behind, maybe 50 years behind, I don't know. So, but it's very clear. If you read that carefully, it's saying plant-based diet. Okay, so this is just one example of healing with plant-based diet. You may recognize the mayor of New York right here.
Announcing the expansion of health and hospital lifestyle medicine services to all 5 boroughs across the city. The most comprehensive expansion of lifestyle medicine in the nation. These new sites will help patients who are living with chronic diseases. 1 million New Yorkers are dealing with diabetes. More than half of the adults are overweight or suffering from obesity. Heart disease is our #1 killer, and I know we can do something about it. This expansion is about helping patients make healthier lifestyle changes, including plant-based diet, physical activity, improved sleeping habits, and stress reduction. And the sites will provide support for people to stay on course. A chronic disease hijacks your life, and it hijacks the life of your entire family. This issue impacts Black and brown New Yorkers disproportionately. Nothing was more frightening to me in my professional and personal life than waking up without my sight in my left eye. And to be able to reverse that and going to all the doctors that's telling me my nerve damage, my vision loss was something I had to live with the rest of my life, and take 5 medications plus insulin and other medications for all the chronic diseases I was facing, not realizing that it was not my DNA, it was my dinner. And if I was willing to change my dinner, I was willing to change my destiny. We're going to help the families, the moms, the dads, the children. We're going to expand this healthy lifestyle throughout our entire city.
So New York City is the first city that I know of where anyone in the city can call what they call a broccoli hotline, that's the nickname for it, and get training in lifestyle medicine. And meaning the patients can get help with lifestyle medicine coaches in healthy eating. It's the biggest public health system in the country, and they're first to do this. Wouldn't it be amazing if Chicago did it? But that's up to you. You residents of Chicago have to say, look, we have too many sick people. Cook County is running out of money thanks to the health care they give out. What if they went to the root? The other thing, I teach classes on diversity, equity, and inclusion. You just heard what he said about disproportionately affecting people of color. So we should also make this an issue of healthcare access and equity by saying, look, lifestyle medicine is a way to elevate everyone up, to create that equity. You've seen that photo of people at the ballpark and the boxes that are raised. Lifestyle medicine doesn't eliminate all the problems of what we call social determinants of health, but it greatly mitigates it. So yeah, I would love if Chicago did the same thing. Plant-based diets across all of their hospitals. So, do they have the option of not plant-based diets? Yes, they do. But their default is plant-based. If you don't say anything, you're getting a vegan plate. If you say something, sure, they can get you some non-vegan food. What if Cook County did this? Yeah, so this is a revolutionary thing. Mayor Adams had such an effect, and if you look at his story, you can see it on YouTube. You can see his mother healed her diabetes. His older, I think in her 70s. So that is Dr. Michelle McMack, and she works for them as well. So, and there's other diseases besides diabetes. You heard about that. Osteoporosis is greatly helped by a plant-based diet and exercise, of course. Osteoporosis drugs benefit, yes, but they can also harm. There's no harm to a plant-based diet. And then in addition to plant-based diet, lower salt and less or no caffeine, very important too. And then heart disease, no other diet, not any, has been shown in research studies to reverse heart disease. Dean Ornish was the one who showed this in his medical studies. This was required reading at my medical school at Northwestern. This is where I was introduced to the concept. And then we didn't talk about it all through the clinical years and through residency. Then I revisited this later on. So you can see this doctor came to Dr. Esselstyn at Cleveland Clinic, and he had a very diseased artery, miserable life. And all the doctors said, no, we can't bypass it. It's too messed up. We can't stent it. It's too long. So this is 3 years later, the artery opened up all the way on whole food, plant-based, low-fat diet. So you may have heard about Mediterranean diet studies, right? The interesting thing about Mediterranean diet studies, when they did the comparison of Mediterranean diet oil, Mediterranean diet nuts, and then control diet, there was not a significant difference in mortality. Same results, but when they broke it down by quintiles, which means how much plant-based it is, that they had a level of 1 through 5, they showed a very significant mortality benefit in that. So when someone says Mediterranean, say what part of Mediterranean? It's not the wine, it's not the oil, it's the fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans. As far as beans go, I saw a statistic, fewer than 5% of Americans eat beans regularly. It was much different back in the 20s and 30s, wasn't it? But it's less. And then there's a big effect on the gut microbiome. And so a lot of people in the US, they live with leaky gut syndrome, and then autoimmune disease is way out of control. So your gut microbiome does best with plant-based diet. You can't go to the store and buy a probiotic to fix a broken system. You have to go to the root cause. And then autoimmune disease is intimately connected. That is the latest. So there's a movie called Disease Reversal Hope, which is about people who healed their own autoimmune diseases with plant-based diet. And then we have the effect on the brain, that plant-based diet greatly improves depression. And that was incidentally found in some of the early studies, that they did depression scores just as a screening, and what they found was greatly improved depression scores. So here's kind of the root of diseases when it comes to cancer, bone and joint disease, lung disease, diabetic complications. It's chronic inflammation. You probably heard of that related to diseases, right? So that's one of the big mechanisms by which plant-based diet reverses. So as far as Dean Ornish, he has a new article in International Journal of Disease Reversal and Prevention called The Unifying Theory of Lifestyle Medicine. So what he says is, this is not a diet. There's no separate diet for cardiology, no separate one for diabetes, no separate one for autoimmune disease. It's one mechanism. So these are the mechanisms: inflammation, immune dysfunction, sympathetic nervous system dysfunction, gene expression. Your genes change literally when you go on a healthy diet. The microbiome changes drastically. And then the blood vessels change as well. You increase blood flow. So this is the unifying theory of all diseases. And this is quite amazing, right? You have an iatrician and an ologist for every single field. But, primary care doctors, as I know, don't get enough respect. But I would say lifestyle medicine primary care is where really the solutions lie. So every time you go to the supermarket, you can choose life or death, right? That's the question. Which one would you choose? Just think about that. Because it's not just you. We're talking about health primarily, yes, but there's an effect on other animals, other beings. So just know, again, to show that it's mainstream, Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics official statement saying that appropriately planned vegetarian, including vegan diets, are healthful, nutritionally adequate, and the last one is amazing, may provide health benefits for prevention and treatment of diseases. We always thought, okay, this is preventive medicine. No, this is medicine. It's not just preventive medicine. So putting it all together, to give you an idea, this is from Juliana Hever, plant-based dietitian. And so this is her food pyramid. And in her world, water and exercise are important. And that 1 hour of exercise, that's not an exaggeration. I would say that's an absolute must. So 1 hour. And if you get to that 1 hour, you'll see the difference. Mental health, physical health, everything. And then fruits and vegetables are at the bottom of her food pyramid. Many people put grains at the bottom. And then the USDA says make half of them whole. What we're saying, make almost all of them whole. But fruits and veggies should be first. And then fat is on there. Avocados, nuts, and olives, those kind of things. So one reason for this pyramid is this, that nutrient density. 400 calories of vegetables will fill up your stomach. Now, people have bariatric surgery to shrink it to the size on the left, and then the bariatric surgeons tell them just eat your protein. That's what they tell them, right? But the other solution is to fill your stomach with fiber-rich foods. So here's just an idea. Vegetables, fruit, whole grains, and beans are less than 600 calories per pound. And then processed food, junk food, oil, those are all very high density of calories. So that's why there's usually weight loss. I would say weight loss happens along with exercise, and muscle training is essential as well. So these are the other lifestyle factors that we work on in lifestyle medicine. We all know what to do. The key is motivating people. It's like a sales job. Anyone read about Zig Ziglar? It's just like that. You have to get to know your client first and what their interests are, what their challenges are. Then you can sell it to them. You've heard of Zig Ziglar, right? It's the sales, yeah. So here's just to give you an idea to put it together, analyze it. There's an app called Chronometer. You can download it on your phone, or it's on the web. There's a free version and a paid version. So I just put in a very simple plant-based plan. And I have healthy fats there too. Tahini, we have almonds, Brazil nuts for selenium, and just very simple. It's not a lot of food, but just to show you how powerful plant-based meals are. So what it's showing you, the details of what I put in. This is what I put in here. So you can list all the foods. And then you get calories consumed, 2,091 calories. And then you have your nutrients, your carbs, 286 grams of carbs. It sounds like a lot, but it's not like all the other carbs. 68 grams of fiber, way above the USDA minimum of 20. And then every single vitamin is met without any extra supplements because some of that food is fortified. Even B12 is met because the food is fortified. The fat is absolutely adequate, and a lot of it, omega-3, 500% of the RDA is in there, 500%. And then every single amino acid is way more than the minimum requirement. All the minerals are way above, including magnesium, which is challenging to get. That is double of the USDA recommendation. So here's the other side, keto, right? And it is a nightmare because you have eggs, butter, and I took it straight off a keto website. I did this from scratch. Eggs, butter, olive oil, fish sauce, ginger, beef, egg yolk, and then you have avocado oil, sesame oil. Keto is very high fat. You have a little bit of like onions and tomatoes and cucumbers, little bit of vegetables, and then you have some plant-based fat, sesame seeds. So I look at this straight off of the keto website, the problems are, well, first of all, it's under 30 grams of carbs, which is a strict keto diet. Yes, it meets that. However, the vitamins are severely lacking. The B12, sure, it's there, but the iron is there. But what about folate? What about all the other nutrients? Vitamin C is deficient. That's called scurvy. Remember, for the pirates and sailors, right? So vitamin D is lacking. And then for your fats, you are at 296%. But the problem is most of it is saturated fat. And the cholesterol is off the charts, 817 milligrams. Yes, you've got adequate protein, but then you get to the minerals. Those are essential for life. You don't have enough calcium, there's not enough magnesium, and then certainly not enough potassium. Potassium is severely lacking. So these are all if keto had a label like a pharmaceutical, this would be on the label. These are all the bad things that can happen from keto, and there's more. So bottom line, we are at the left, and I'm saying to get to the right. Anywhere you go along to the right will benefit. And the goal for most people is reasonable, is 80%. 80-20 rule applies to many things in life. And I would say for nutrition, someone can apply it 80-20 as well. And if you're talking to family members, and if you happen to be vegetarian or vegan, but they meet you 3/4 of the way, great. That's great. They will be healthier. So just to reiterate what lifestyle medicine promotes. And get this, 90% of the nation's $3.8 trillion spending is because of lifestyle. However, lifestyle medicine only has about 8,000 or so members, 8,000, 9,000 members, which are very little. We don't have enough people. We need others to join. And the nice thing about lifestyle medicine, we invite chiropractic, naturopathic, PT, OT, pharmacy, dietitians, even speech therapy. Anyone who wants to join can join American College of Lifestyle Medicine so that you can be part of the solution no matter what field you're in. So that's what we want to have our visits like, and it's true. I do see this a lot with kids that are completely plant-based. So these are just some resources, and I can, email Kay the presentation just to have it. And the couple of things I want to highlight, plantwisefilm.com is an Advent Health Florida film. The nice thing about that film is it's only 45 minutes. We screened it at the Harold Washington Library. People loved watching it. And Forks Over Knives, I'm pretty sure it's freely available now. And then Creation Life is also Advent Health's program, and you'll see it addresses many aspects of lifestyle. So here's something that you can try. Let's see, I think we have some time here. If you want, right now, you can go on your device, if you have a device, 4leafsurvey.com. 3 minutes, 12 questions. Just do a quick assessment, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, just do it yourself. Email yourself the results right now because I want to make sure you get it. 4leafsurvey.com. Just read the questions carefully. And just remember, a serving generally is about 1/4 of a plate. It'll just ask you how you're doing. I just want you to do this self-assessment. Whether you are plant-based, vegan, vegetarian, or omnivore, anyone can improve with this method. And after you're done, you don't have to share your score. What I would like is you can share your experience doing this and what you learned.
Basically, one does need to eat a lot
Of what?
of plant.
Fruits and vegetables? Yeah, fruits and vegetables. So I've had only maybe 1 or 2 patients with 4-leaf score in the whole time I've been doing this. They were cancer survivors, and they were eating literally 12 servings of fruits and veggies every day. So that's the level. But the key is, what you want to try. It'll email you some suggestions, non-commercial, non-profit. But what it'll do, it'll just give you some ideas as what to do. So you can, what I do commonly is I'll bring up this survey, and I'll just, as I'm doing it with the patient, I'll write down 3 or 4 things, 3 or 4 goals. So the goals can be what's called SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time limited. That, okay, for the next 1 month, I will try to eat an apple every day. That's an easy goal, right? So then you can set new goals. And the nice thing about this survey is it can be redone to see if someone can improve over time. So the powerful thing is with lifestyle medicine, small changes add up and can lead to long-term health. So just something to think about. And you can share this survey with your friends and family and see how it works out. So this is the PlantWise documentary. www.plantwisefilm.com. Yeah, plantwisefilm.com. And then Full Plate Living is a program that is, let's say, plant forward, and it's a transition. So it's a free weight loss program that Advent Health recommends, and it's motivational. The idea is you don't talk anything about vegetarian or vegan, but you talk about fiber, because fiber is plant-based, right? The unhealthy vegetarian vegan food doesn't have fiber. And so the key is to get to 3/4 of the food as fibrous. And that's, another way to look at it. And full curriculum is available to teach this program in 8 sessions. Anyone who wants to teach it, it's freely available. So this is just some examples from the program to give you concrete ideas and set goals for yourself. So on the left, you have a basic burrito, 9 grams of fiber. On the right, you have a jazzed up burrito, whole grain and full of healthy stuff, avocados and everything. It has the ingredients. And you've gotten to 27 grams of fiber. That is more fiber than people have in 1 or 2 days, just with one burrito. And so this is your regular baked potato on the left with butter and sour cream. That is your healthy baked potato on the right. It's not the potato that's the problem. It really is the sour cream and the butter that's the problem. And the right side will have fewer calories than the left side, but it's more filling. So here's the regular oatmeal on the left with milk and sugar, and that is the improved oatmeal on the right. You've just tripled your fiber intake. So do you see how fiber is a good goal to aim for, right, in your diet, whether someone is vegetarian, vegan, or not? From 2 grams of fiber in the tomato soup to 9 grams of fiber in the one with barley and frozen veggies. And so this is just a transition plan. Number 1 is the regular hamburger meal with a bunch of cookies and chips. Number 2, it's improved because there's fewer cookies. It's got whole grain bun, beans, and coleslaw. Number 3, even better, half of a burger with a fruit, vegetables, beans, and it's still satisfying. And then what this plan says, gently it suggests, why not try a veggie burger, because then you can have the whole burger and be satisfied. So that's the key, is sometimes people resist change, and this is a way to deal with that resistance. So these are just some examples of foods that I took photos of, and I'll just run through. This is Indian plate, but it has the red rice. And then this is from previously Purple Sprout Cafe. Unfortunately it closed, but they do have carry out in Wheeling. This is Noodles and Company, nothing fancy, but they have the option of replacing noodles with zucchini. This is a taco place in Palatine, soy chorizo. This is one that I made, veggie and chickpea curry. Veggie pizza, and I believe this might have been mod pizza, topped with arugula. So that's the nice thing, there's no cheese, but the arugula fills it in, and it's very nutritious. These are pizzas I made at home with the Trader Joe's crust. And so do you see the zucchini kind of gives the feel of pepperoni without the pepperoni? And on the other side, there's just a bunch of vegetables. But I used tofu instead of cheese. I just took the tofu block and shredded it up and put it at the bottom. It gives the illusion of cheese. Does it taste like cheese? No, not at all. But visually, if you match, then it helps your satisfaction. That is jackfruit curry. These are pancakes made with oat flour, soy milk, flaxseed, and just a pinch of baking powder. This is from a breakfast place, honeyberry pancakes. It's called Vegan Hash. Is it perfect? No, but it's satisfying and it's got a lot of vegetables in it. So that's the key. It's not perfection. This is a chickpea kind of omelet kind of thing. So those are vegetables and chickpea flour with water mixed up. And then on the right, it's baked on the pan. Brussels sprouts on the left, and then that's turnip and turnip greens curry on the right, just to give you an idea. So those are just some ideas of foods and how I have more variety in my food than I ever had before. Before it was either a McChicken, McDonald's breakfast burrito, and just the options are so limited when you're just consuming the same 3 animals every day, right? And along with eggs and cheese, then there's limited options. But when you have all vegetables, then you have so many options. I didn't realize I could use the greens from the top of the turnips, but they are good. So what do you do with your healthcare professional who refuses to learn this? You tell that professional that, look, I'm your patient. If you care about me and you have to CME anyway, why don't you take the 4-hour CME course? It's 5.5 credit. And guess what? It's usually $220, but for 2023, we have a limited time offer. It's free, thanks to the White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health, ACLM, donated millions of dollars to give this course free to any healthcare professional. It doesn't have to be a doctor. So all you have to do is just give them this QR code, and they can just scan it right then and there. And if they refuse to do that, then that shows that not only are they ignorant, but they don't care. I would just say that very honestly. And you can put it to them like that. It may be offensive, but sometimes you have to be a little offensive to get things done. So, oh yeah, did you want to take a photo? Okay. Yeah, and if you scan the QR code, it'll come up. And it's just, we're just asking for half a day, that's all. You know, they have to spend 50 hours per year doing continuing ed anyway. So these are just some examples of what I call game changers, people who changed their lives. This is Eric O'Gray. So it is on YouTube. It's called Rescue Stories. And he adopted a middle-aged dog, a little bit overweight like him. And he went to a naturopath because the doctor told him to buy a funeral plot, literally. So he went to a naturopath. Naturopath said plant-based diet and get a rescue dog. And guess what? He found love in the dog. And he started walking with the dog, little bit at a time. And he eventually lost 100 pounds. He changed his life. And the drugs cost him $1,000 per month. Today, they would be probably $4,000 per month because that was back then. So, and this is Jim. His goal was, he had severe heart disease, Dr. Esselstyn's patient. He wanted to dance at his daughter's wedding. So this is another idea, is you know, if you're making changes in your family, you want to tell why. Why are you making these changes? Many times they'll say things like that. This is a gentleman, Srinivas from India. He was told to get a bypass, and then he went on plant-based diet because of this friend of mine from Naperville who's not a doctor. He's a finance person, and he told him to cancel his bypass. He put him on the phone with a doctor from Canada for about 4 hours, and they helped him to give him another idea. So then we have environmental health. So I'll just go briefly. Just know that climate action was published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2019, January. A whole article and website about climate and how it affects our health. There's so many other harms to animal products, including the workers, human rights violations. Now today, we know child labor is used in these slaughter factories to clean up. Many of them immigrants. It's absolutely horrible. They just don't care about people, let alone animals. This is a spiritual leader, Thich Nhat Hanh, that we can stop contributing to climate change, heal and preserve our precious planet. So the question to you would be, to you, that child is precious, but to the animal, that child below is precious. And the desire to live is the same in all of us. We all have the same spark of life in all of us. And then just if you think about where things come from, it kind of comes from like the bottom side of a hen, right? Where the excrement comes out of. If you don't think about that when you make eggs. I didn't think about that. I looked into it when I found blood in an egg that I was making fried eggs for. And I was thinking, why is there blood in this egg? That's so unusual. And what I learned by Googling it and diving deep into it was that there's a reason there's blood in there. And then I found there's bacteria inside there too that are dangerous bacteria. This is how dairy is raised, by the veal calves that are kept in crates to keep their veal meat tender. So it's funny when I have friends that say, oh, I wouldn't eat veal. Well, what are you doing drinking dairy, eating cheese? Because the cheese and dairy industry is the veal industry. They wouldn't have veal if it weren't for dairy. So this is from Museum of Science and Industry. There's a whole display, and my kids thought it was hilarious how they had this display on how to milk the cows and the machines they use. To them, it was kind of disgusting to them. So they have this photo. This is at the Museum of Science and Industry, directly from their basement exhibit. we just don't think about those eyes and, what's going to happen to that calf. So there's a lot of reasons to be vegan. If you care about the earth, your health, social justice, and animals. And that social justice piece is just becoming known now. That's why many of the people I know who are of color or Hispanic are turning vegan more than the mainstream. So the concept is nothing new. They've been doing this for a long time. So the question is, where do you get your fiber, not where do you get your protein? 95% of Americans are deficient in dietary fiber. Only 3% are deficient in protein. So Albert Einstein, we can't solve our problems with the same thinking that we used when we created them. That applies to plant-based diet. Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning. So as far as questioning, one exercise in Zen is to look at things in reverse, right? So you think about a gummy bear. If you really go back step by step to reverse, you'll see it ends up in a very bad place. And I won't belabor it, but I'll just say, think about your foods in reverse and to the source. If that source is kind of disturbing, maybe you should reconsider, just something to think about. So that's how you can contact me if anyone wants to be in touch. And, we'll talk about any questions if you have any. Yes, thank you.
I came late because I was way out the suburbs.
No problem.
Can I get this on YouTube?
Oh, it will be recorded. Yes, thank you.
And can I get it on YouTube?
I believe so. It will be updated.
In a week or 2 weeks? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, yes, Caesar? Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, I was told by a doctor, recommended D3,
Yes.
and there's a non-vegetarian, a vegetarian,
Mhm.
and the vegan, there's tablets, a gel, and a spray. And whenever I take it, I wonder, like, is this really doing any good?
Oh, D3 is essential. What I learned during the pandemic
Do you
is the
recommend
people with
tablet
low...
form or
What?
spray form?
What?
Recommended the tablet form or spray form?
Oh, spray form is a little bit better, but any form is better than nothing. The other thing to consider is fortified plant milk will give a good amount of D3. So, and then there's chewable as well. But I think spray form is superior for both B12 and D. But for most people, it doesn't matter. Any form is good form. And as far as D3, it usually is derived from lanolin, which is, from the wool of sheep. But someone can get a vegan D3. It is available. So the companies are Diva, D-E-V-A, and Garden of Life, and others that have vegan D3. But D3 is from the sun. None of us gets enough sunlight if you live around here. Yes, thank you.
If someone has heart diseases and they're eating plant-based, but their cholesterol is still somewhat high, do you suggest they consider taking a statin?
Oh, yes, I do.
You don't
Yeah.
think the statins have too many side effects?
They do have a lot of side effects, and probably around 20 to 50% can't take them. But so this is where physical exercise comes in for heart disease.
Right.
It is absolutely essential to lift weights and do hard cardio.
And then, if I may, do you tell them to go no or low or no fat with the vegan, like no nuts, no avocado?
So I don't. So I follow more Joel Furman's approach, which is healthy fats, in smaller quantities, but it should be part of a healthy diet. Someone's having a salad, they can get one of those small Trader Joe's avocados, cut it up and put it on. They can put flaxseed on, they can have walnuts. So the evidence on that isn't hard evidence
Right.
to eliminate those foods. The reason why it's eliminated, because the evidence we have is with diets that eliminated those foods. I asked Dr. Esselstyn about it, and he said we had one chance. We didn't have time to do a group with nuts and without nuts. That's it, thank you.
Doesn't
Yes.
Furman eat fish?
Furman, no, he doesn't himself. He does not himself. Who eats fish? Mayor Adams. He does eat fish, but that's okay. Again, he is eating mostly plant-based. We don't want to get on someone's case if they eat one non-vegan meal a week. As you can see in that 4-leaf survey, someone can eat one non-vegan meal a week and still get all of their leaves. Any other questions? But yeah, for many it's a slippery slope. If they have it one McChicken a week, can lead to McChicken and fries, can lead to a burger, and then BK chicken Whopper. You know what I mean, right? Yes.
Do you recommend soy milk for soy products?
I think soy milk is great for anyone very active, for growing children, and it's the, let's say, most nutrient dense plant milk. But otherwise, sure, for flavor's sake, oat milk is very neutral. It's great. Yeah. Yes.
What did you say a serving was again?
Oh, a serving? Oh, you mean in that 4-leaf survey?
Just in general, because I know you mentioned someone was having 12 servings of fruits and vegetables.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
What is a serving exactly?
Okay. So let's say you have a large orange, navel orange. That's 2 servings. A large apple is 2 servings, to get an idea, right? So a small apple, 1 serving. So generally 1/4 of a plate, roughly, is about 1 serving of a fruit or vegetable. And as you know, that if you cut up a big fruit, it'll take up half the plate.
So 12 servings isn't even that much.
It's not really that much, but it's impossible for most people to reach.
Yeah.
But I would say, sure, start where someone is and do one step better.
Got it.
There's a book called Atomic Habits about that, about taking small steps for health.
Okay, so would this be how many servings?
I would estimate probably at least 2, maybe 3 servings.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, because there's so much in there.
Yeah, okay.
Great idea. Yeah, smoothies I think are great. Dr. Furman generally recommends smoothies with flax and other things. So if someone wants to start on smoothies at home, I'm just going to put this recipe website up, smoothieshred.com. This is a great way for someone to start. Smoothies can be a great way to start the plant-based lifestyle. Here we go, recipes. So yeah, you can look these up, smoothieshred.com. So just to give you an example of one, I'll just do the first one. So as you can see, the magic is 75% of it is greens and water, and then 25% is fruits. And then, of course, flaxseed is there for the healthy fat. And so this is just a little start for someone new to this. It's just easy. Other resource is there's an app for PCRM 21-day Kickstart. So someone can download this app, Kickstart Your Health, on Google and App Store. And it gives you ideas for how to start healthy plant-based diet. Sometimes the app doesn't work, so if it doesn't work, let me know. But generally it works. Any other questions? Yes, thank you.
You said, did you say vitamin E is bad for you?
Vitamin E in a supplement form is not so good for you. The reason is when you take vitamin A or vitamin E, it's one specific type of vitamin A or E. When you take foods, there are so many different types of those vitamins. And so when you take the supplement, it shifts the balance. So I'm going to give you this website too, aicr.org, which is a great website for cancer prevention. And these are 10 ways to prevent cancer. And again, the cancer screening recommendations are up here. Pens if anyone wants it. So I'm just going to scroll down because you can see, all of the recommendations are there. Do not use supplements for cancer prevention. Aim to meet your nutrient needs through diet alone. The 2 exceptions are vitamin D and B12, but generally speaking, people should not take vitamin E, vitamin A, thinking it's going to prevent cancer. In fact, it may end up making things worse. Now, of course, there might be someone with some specific medical need that might need to take it, but that kind of thing is very rare. So better to consume the food that has vitamin E than the vitamin E. Better to consume the food that has vitamin A than vitamin A.
So do you
Yes.
think just taking like a multivitamin day is still good, or?
It's actually-
You get it from your fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, but it's actually considered harmful to take a multi. Many in the lifestyle medicine world advise against taking a multi, just for taking what you need. So if you looked at that chart I showed you, you have to just trust that, look, everything was created exactly perfect. We human beings have been eating mostly plant-based for hundreds of thousands of years, and that's the right way to eat for us. Yes?
One of the arguments against that is the soil is depleted. It doesn't have the nutrients. Food is not what it was before. And so some
True.
people say, I'm probably wrong,
So that's why I say eat more of the
eat more of
plant-based.
the good stuff.
Right, exactly. The problem is people don't eat enough. Or let's say they're heavily dieting, they're eating half the calories they need, they're going to be depleted. And as we showed, there's so many factors affecting the final product. So that's why it's so important to eat more. So that's why I suggest still 3 meals a day, roughly 6, 12, and 6 p.m. And generally not snacking because you want to be hungry for your food. And if you're going to snack, eat an apple, eat a banana, have a handful of nuts, for example, healthy snacks. And so those snacky foods should leave the diet. But sure, once in a while someone has a bag of chips, it's not going to kill them. But if it's every day, it probably will. So, thank you. Yes? Oh, say that again?
Can I download this information?
Oh, sure, yes. You know what? If you want to leave your email with me, or if you want to email me, I'll be happy to share it.
My son has leukemia.
Oh, yeah.
He was in Portland and we had him come here,
Mm-hmm.
to a hospital here, but they didn't even have a plant-based diet that you could eat in the hospital.
Oh, wow. You know what? Recently, I had a patient end up at University of Chicago, and I'm not just saying this because my company's affiliated, but he came there for heart surgery. He told me they had the best vegan meals. And he was curious why. He talked to them. They said, yeah, we have the best vegan food in town. And University of Chicago. It was so interesting that he said that. I have not verified it, and that's one testimonial. But that's what he told me. Of course, you don't want to end up for valve surgery, but if you do, it seems like a good place. So I told our CEO, and he's going to look into it. So, yes.
I have a question that's similar to what you were talking about. Does it, I guess, would vegetables from a supermarket be the same, like, I guess, amount of nutrition as vegetables from, say, like a local farm or a place where there
Right.
are, like, specific, like, sustainable practices with farming, or is it kind of like wherever it's grown?
So the fresher, the better.
Okay.
But something's better than nothing. Does that make sense? So whatever resources someone has, eat those in abundance. And if there's a produce market, you'll notice the taste is so much nicer. If you get it fresh from the farm at the farmer's market, the kale has strong bite to it. The arugula has a different flavor. So you'll notice that. That means it's also chock full of nutrients. Even things like cauliflower, you'll notice the difference. Tomatoes. Carrots too. Tomatoes, has anyone had an heirloom tomato fresh from the farm? You know the difference, right? Nothing like it. Yes, did you have a question? Thank you.
In terms of cooking vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
are there methods that take all of the nutrients out? Like
Yes.
Are there methods you should avoid?
Yes. So one method is the Indian method that cooks out a lot of nutrients, which is boiling and stewing for too long. So the key is, like, let's say you have vegetable stir fry. That's probably one of the healthiest methods of cooking. And it can be stir fried with either very minimal or no oil. Steaming is good if it's like flash steaming. You don't want to pulverize it. So if it's like sort of steaming, that's great.
What about baking vegetables?
Baking is great if it's not baked too long. Like charring is probably not good. So does that make sense? Yes.
Today I've learned a dehydrator.
Oh yeah, great idea. It doesn't cook them so much, and it preserves a lot of nutrition. It just takes a while. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, raw vegan. There is one restaurant in Chicagoland that is raw vegan that I know of, and I believe it's in Lockport, all the way south of Plainfield, I think. And it's called Vegan Cafe. And the most amazing thing to try there is their nachos. It is not real nachos. It's like seed dehydrated to look like chips, And then they have guacamole, which is avocado. Then they have a cheese dip, which isn't cheese. So that impressed even my family, and they're kind of picky.
What about
So-
amitablo? At least the name
Amitablo,
used to be-
it's good. It's good. It's not raw. It's not raw
Did it
vegan.
used to be?
No, I don't think so. It's Korean food and it's cooked, but it's very good. Yeah. But some restaurants in Chicago might be, you know, and if you want a directory, the Vegan Museum's brochure. Let me see.
They're up here too on this table.
The Vegan Museum's brochure, Eat Your Way Through a Vegan Chicagoland. I think you update this list regularly, right?
What?
Is this list updated? I think it is recently.
Oh, yeah, this was just
Yeah.
updated a week
Yeah.
or so ago.
So these are, and of course, there are restaurants like Cinnaholic listed. That is not where to go to be healthy. Now, once in a while, someone wants to indulge, that's okay. Maybe you eat half and share the other half. So the key is less frequently and share it. That's the key. Any other questions at all? Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Really appreciate it. Thank you.